control us, right?
Yeah, there's not. Well, also there's not as many of them as there are of us.
Exactly. They can't just. We'd overpower them. So they.
The one thing that you can encounter, though, is they are specialized in mind control. That's when they came from Nibiru, they had a specialization in mind control. But that's how they got to power. They don't necessarily use it on the open public because, obviously, like you said, we would outnumber them.
Yep, exactly. They use mind control, and they've also implemented their own contributions to society that have actually distracted us from looking for things like a reptilian ruler. For example, religion, which, as y'all said, they established, that has disconnected humanity from the truth, and instead fills them with the fear of God's judgment.
Right.
So instead of looking out to see who actually controls us, they openly and easily believe what's given to them by this holy book,
Right.
And completely blind to the fact that things aren't as it seems, folks. Not at all.
Also, something I read that was interesting in David Icke's book, The Biggest Secret, was that in the Bible, apparently, and I'm not sure if it's an original, in its original writing, but some type of transcript of it, there is a word that instead of meaning God, it actually means gods, and he points that out that maybe they were referring to the Anunnaki instead of a single god, like these multiple gods.
Wow.
So, yeah.
There's some more evidence for y'all folks. Like I said, they use religion as a tool of control. Now, in addition to that, there's the modern day reptilians. They're doing things to us to completely inhibit the full potential of our minds, the full capacity. The food additives they add, fast food, the fluoride that's put in our water supplies.
And toothpaste.
And toothpaste. You got to keep those teeth clean, right?
Yeah,
Exactly. They tell us, this is for your own, this is the, this cleans your water supply, this, that. They stop us from reaching our full potential or full capacity of our bodies. They weaken the mind. They weaken our bodies. We actually, as humans, have a lot more capability, a lot more potential. We can do a lot more than what we do today. But because of what the things they've put out there, we can't say, well, we can't go out and campaign saying, fluoride water, blah, 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 because people, the reptilians that are in power, put out false information, but because of their reputation or their position, that false statement is accepted as truth. So we can't do anything about it.
Right.
But they weaken our population because, just like the reason they shapeshift, it makes it easier to control us, right? So that's our physical health. They control our mental health through media and education, right? So, Ashley, if you went back in elementary school, if you told your teacher that George Washington wasn't the first president, what would she say?
She would say I was crazy, obviously.
Exactly. Or she'd be like, oh, you don't know. George Washington was the first president. That's because it's all based on pre-existing knowledge. Established by who? Who
else?
Who else?
Reptilian.
Let's see. Earlier we talked about shape-shifting. So, do y'all remember how they shapeshift? What they need to shapeshift?
Blood. Human blood.
Blood. Right. Now,
like vampires?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Actually, with the vampire thing, it's actually that's a funny that you brought it up. Yeah. So the story of Dracula. Let's see. That area of Europe was actually there was a species of reptilians called the Draco. Actually, Michael mentioned them earlier. Draco is actually also the name of the star system they're from. Yeah, and so they actually lived in that area where I forgot where in Europe, but that's also where the story of Dracula comes from, which is Transylvania. There it is, of blood-sucking vampires, right? Well, that blood-sucking vampires is symbolic of the reptilians, actually, and they need blood, human blood, for the human DNA coding. Otherwise, the reptilian coding prevails. The subject eventually returns to their reptilian form. So, therefore, they need human sacrifices for blood. And actually, what's also that's interesting is the blood of babies is actually the most effective in shapeshifting, right?
Yeah, there's actually a whole chapter about that in his book. It's called, what is it? Where Have All the Children Gone? That one?
Where have all the children gone? Keep your eye on your kids, folks. The blood of babies is most effective. And actually, what's funny is pedophiles, which are like normal humans that have made a decision themselves, but that decision actually, they have very small traces of actually reptilian coding in their DNA. And that whole idea of having something about children, right? So that whole thing comes from like their hunger for babies. Keep your eyes on your kids, folks. You don't want to lose them. Now, reptilians are also, while in power and in control of humans, they're also what make up the Illuminati. Is that right, Sato?
Yes. Well, have you ever seen that little pyramid on a dollar bill? That pyramid actually stands for Illuminati. Did you know that, Rob?
No, I did not know that.
Wow.
The I of the Illuminati stands for what that means on that dollar bill. And actually, the pyramid means more than that. It actually means the hierarchy, and that the Illuminati is at the top of the pyramid. And those at the bottom, well, let me list some of them. There's actually, most of our government is actually a part of that lower part of the hierarchy. But there's also banking, business, and religion, everything.
That's exactly what we were talking about earlier. You know, the hierarchy that we have. So even the reptilian hybrids that are at the top of, you know, different institutions that control the society today, there's another hierarchy above them.
Right.
Of just reptilians, right? So you're saying that's, okay, the Illuminati. Yeah, so the Illuminati, which is, you know, those who are illuminated of intelligence, of certain intelligence, right? They are here, they're a special group of reptilians who are here to carry out certain agendas, and they do that through humans. So
mind controlling.
Exactly, mind control. This is also Ashley mentioned earlier. Mind control. This is actually where it comes from. So how they do that is in human mind. Whenever we're experiencing a traumatizing event, the person has a temporary memory, right? So they memory, like for example, in a car accident, you remember everything before the impact and maybe everything after it, but you don't remember the impact itself. It's because the body naturally, the mind is a beautiful thing, folks. It puts an amnesic barrier which prevents the mind from reliving the experience. The Illuminati, the reptilian Illuminati that is, has developed a technique to repeatedly traumatize the mind in order to program a fragmented mind with different tasks. So they
crazy.
Yeah. I actually had a sit down talk with David Icke, and he talked about this.
No, you met him?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so jealous. I wish I could meet him.
I know, he's an amazing man, folks.
Did you get his autograph?
I wish. Modern day Jesus' autograph. I wonder how much that's worth on eBay, right? So now, these tasks that are programmed into the minds of the humans that are being used as tools to carry out the agenda of the Illuminati, they are all programmed with the trigger word that puts them into the state where they can carry out whatever that action is. So that could be trigger can be a word someone says, a sound, a color, etc. Except it's most likely a combination of these things. Otherwise,
Yeah, it could just happen by accident, basically.
Exactly. We don't want it to happen on accident. They don't want it to happen on an accident.
Yeah.
Now, how are these guys? How are these humans used as tools? They can be programmed to have sex with a politician, right? A politician becomes powerful, and it's a human, okay? A human politician becomes powerful and threatens the reptilian that's already in politics of that person maintaining their position.
Right.
So the Illuminati can program a woman to have sex with that politician, or even assassinate someone. Assassinations. Ashley, you asked me earlier.
The Kennedy line.
Kennedy line. The Kennedy line wasn't a line of reptilians. They were a line of humans that had gained influence and power. The repeated assassinations were carried out by the Illuminati. They programmed